What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Tuesday and Thursday wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Puorro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? How we doing this week? Welcome back. It is Thursday, May 23rd. We have our interview this week with Erik Stevens and Chester Patterson. They are the New Jersey State 4-ball champions, which was held at Hollywood Golf Club just a few weeks back. And so they were nice enough to come on and talk about their experience, talk about where they come from, how they got to where they are now, the duo that they are. Really quite interesting because they're really I don't mean this in any disrespectful way or anything like that, but they're really two no-name guys who have come and beat a field that's really rather loaded. We had guys like Pat Wilson on and Michael Brown, and just they were able to defeat them all. So really very, very impressive and super awesome that they were, nice enough to come on and again, just chat, just two down-to-earth guys with a really, really interesting story. They're both very different age brackets. They're both at very different stages in their life, and how they're able to come together and form this duo that defeats, past champions is really pretty impressive. So you're just going to have me and them on the interview. Mike had a conflict and was, had to sit that one out. So it is a Ryan, Erik, and Chester vehicle, which I think actually, Mike would have been able to talk more about the course for sure, and would have been able to get more into the nitty gritty of the golf, so to speak. But, I think their background is really, really interesting. And we get into that. We get into their rounds, obviously. And it's really a great interview. So I'm going to send you now to the interview with Erik and Chester. Hope you enjoy. Cheers.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family-owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there, they're helping, they're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I just I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more. Again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs.
All right. So today's guest is a duo, a pair, the New Jersey State four-ball champions. Welcome, Chester Patterson, Erik Stevens. Guys, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Appreciate being on here.
Yeah, really, really excited because as Mike and I talked about this, we really don't know much about you guys, and you defeated a loaded field. You know, we've had guys like Mike Brown on and Pat Wilson and Anthony Campanile, and you defeated a star-studded field. And admittedly, I don't know much about you guys, so that's where I want to start. Can you guys tell us about your background, kind of where you started in golf, how you got into it, how you got to where you are now? And I know with two of you, it's a little bit different, but yeah, if you guys could tell us that'd be awesome.
Sure. I played high school. I got into golf probably when I was about 13 or 14. A bunch of my buddies my dad tried to get me in golf when I was about 6 or 7, and I thought it was horrendously boring. So I was playing hockey all the time. So
another hockey guy.
I am. That was it probably is. It's definitely my favorite sport to watch. Big Rangers fan. Big game tomorrow night.
Yeah, big one tomorrow.
And then a couple of my buddies basically started playing golf, and I already had clubs. It was my father got me clubs, and went and they dropped us off at Warrenbrook Golf Club in Somerset County. It was like $6.25 to play as much golf as you wanted. So our parents would drop us off there, and we'd play 36. Then we were dead tired at night, wouldn't get into any trouble. Then I kind of fell in love with the game from there. I got the bug bad, and ended up playing at Villanova, and then thought about getting into the golf profession, and ended up moving to Manhattan. Continued to play golf. I did decently well in some state and Met stuff, and then honestly I quit drinking, and that changed quite a bit in my life and my perspective on things. A lot of things became more important than golf. And I didn't really feel like competing that much anymore. And I was fortunate enough to meet Erik, and Erik is significantly younger than me, but he is a very, very mature young man. And he dragged me out of retirement. And I tell you what, I haven't had that much fun on the golf course in a very long time, and it was fun to get back and compete, and I missed it. I'm exhausted, still exhausted because I'm an old man. But other than that, I owe a lot of people a lot of thank yous. But it was fun, and sobriety was a big part of getting back into competing and playing good golf again.
That's awesome. Well, welcome onto the scene, I guess, and glad that kind of, that's kind of something that, I don't know the struggles with alcohol, or we can get into that if you want to, but that's something that is tough to do and super life-changing. And you look at a golf course, like, who's not having a drink on the golf course? You're popping, whether it's like a high noon or you're getting a transfusion or something, that makes it difficult. So good for you to be able to stay strong there.
I appreciate it. Luckily for me, it is at no point an appeal anymore. Like I like waking up and feeling well. I admittedly have gotten so soft. Like if I get a cold, it's like the end of the world, and it's pathetic. But there's a lot of upside to feeling good, and it's more about helping other people and making sure they're doing okay, whether that be your friends or a random person. That's something that a lot of people that I've met in sobriety have kind of beat into my head. Yeah. And it was one of those things that I found out makes me probably happiest, is helping other people.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. It
was a good perspective check in life at a much needed point.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad that, sometimes you got to go through the dark to find the light kind of thing. So that's good. Right. Good for you. Erik, tell us about your background.
Well, I am 23. I'm from Western Jersey, Hunterdon County. I was not a golfer my whole life. I was actually a wrestler and baseball player. I wrestled up until high school, My dad and two of my older brothers wrestled in high school. My dad wrestled in college. I would always go to the range with him when I was a kid. I would hit balls. I wasn't big into golf. I always liked baseball more. And then I think when I was 12, 13, 14, I started to get a little worse at baseball and realized I was decent at golf. And I kind of liked the individual aspect. Well, I really liked the individual aspect of it.
Yeah, forget those other
there were a
guys.
lot of times. Well, there were a lot of times in baseball, especially in Little League, you're kind of standing around, and I'm very impatient. So I liked being able to control how you played. And don't get me wrong, I still love baseball to this day. I love watching it. I wish I could play in some intramural softball league when I'm older, but started playing golf, started playing in tournaments when I was 13, I think. I had a good high school career at North Hunterdon, and then I played at Monmouth actually for 4 years.
Oh.
And Monmouth was an awesome experience. I really enjoyed it. It was a great time. I loved playing at Monmouth. It was great to play with all my guys down there, and we had a heck of a 4 years. And then because I lost my freshman year, well, half of my freshman year, half my sophomore year, I got the COVID year. So I just finished my COVID year at St. John's. I did kind of the grad transfer COVID thing
Okay.
at St. John's up in Queens, and that was a great year as well. Learned a lot of things, met a lot of new people. It was a great experience all the way around. So just kind of slowly working my way into the golf world. I had played in some. I tried to qualify for all the NJSGA and MGA events, but every summer I never had much luck. I played in a few state ams. I've still never played in a state open. So it was nice to go out with Chester, and having Chester as a partner makes life on the golf course a little bit easier because he hits every fairway and every green. But
He's also underselling himself as he did play in a U.S. Junior.
Okay.
That was a long time ago. But yeah, that's kind of my golf story to this point.
Awesome. How so you just finished up this, like, you're, because the four ball was the beginning of May, so were you like in finals then, or just finished, or are you a year?
Yeah, I took my last final on Monday night, day before it started.
Okay.
Monday morning, excuse me.
So nothing like having the weight of finals be over to then free you up to play some golf.
There's actually kind of a funny story about that whole thing. So Erik, because he was, in the season, was only available for the Stanton Ridge qualifier, which I think was like April 22nd.
Okay.
And we went to go sign up for what we thought was right as they came out, and we went to go look, and it was sold out, like it was booked up.
Oh no!
So we were on the wait list until the date, like April 21st. I think that afternoon we got off the wait list.
Oh, that's incredible!
I know, and it honestly wasn't for Erik's persistence, I don't think we would have gotten in. And we were fortunate enough. We had a great pairing in the qualifier, two great guys, and got off to a good start. Erik hit about 4 feet in the first hole, which settled everybody
Didn't even sniff the hole.
That'll help.
And then so it was great. So it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah,
it almost just didn't happen at all.
Wow, to go from like getting locked out to, I guess someone dropped out or something happened, and you get in to then winning the thing. Talk about taking the most of your opportunity.
I know, right? And it's great because then we don't have to qualify for the next couple of years, which anybody that plays any sort of this golf now, like the qualifiers it's a boat race, and not everybody's gonna have their best stuff every day, and the qualifiers are tough. I mean, a lot of people will say the tournament's a little bit easier than the actual qualifier because you got time to settle into your round a little bit, and not fire at every pin or play a little bit more aggressively than you might like to.
Right, exactly. That's the qualifier. Is just like you said, it's a race to see who can get to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 under, and go from there. But yeah, that's wow, that's an incredible story there.
It was wild.
Erik, you mentioned that you're 23. Chester, you mind divulging the age there?
I got a 4 handle. I'm 41.
Okay.
I think honestly, until our last match against Mike and Pete, I think I was the oldest guy in the group by far in every match we played.
That does. It seems like, and we're going to get into the round a little bit, but it seems like you guys have a really good yin and yang going on. It seems like, Erik mentioned, Chester, you hit every fairway and green. Chester, I imagine you're one of these millennials or Gen Z or whatever 23-year-old is that just bombs it and is just trying to driver and wedge kind of with the Bryson idea there. And I would imagine that's a nice yin and yang that you got there.
We really do. We and honestly, like playing that, and you kind of it goes by really quickly. Like you're doing the stroke play qualifying, and before you know it, it was Wednesday night. We'd already played 54 holes or whatever it was, and or whatever it was, 40 something holes, and it just happens like so fast. But Erik is anyways, the Ryder Cup captain's picks, like it's hard to find, as Erik was talking about, like in the individual sport. It's very, very hard to find a partner that you're not going to say, you feel like you have to say sorry to if you had a bad shot. And I don't feel that way with Erik, and Erik doesn't feel that way with me, because I know his game as well as he does, and vice versa. He knows my game just as well.
Right.
And Erik is without a doubt the best putter I've ever seen. I mean, the guy, he makes every putt he needs to make. And he's one of the few people that when he first hits a putt, it looks like it's going on line or it's going in the hole every single time.
Wow.
And it's fun to watch. And his driving has gotten better. He doesn't swing it as hard as he can, which is rare to see in these days.
Mm-hmm.
He's much more of a course management guy. But I will tell you what, it's been fun watching him get better. And we wouldn't have gotten to Thursday if he didn't play as well as he did on Wednesday.
Okay, there you go. So I guess I was a little wrong. He's not a driver wedge Bryson.
Oh,
guy.
He is. But well, there's more gears in there that he doesn't tend to use all that often.
Okay, that's good. A little Swiss Army knife.
Compared to these college, really everyone that's playing golf or competitive golf nowadays, I am nowhere even close to long. I mean, these kids just hit it forever. I see it in college. I see it at every level. It's insane. And I'm definitely not a bomber by any means.
It was funny as I was walking around out there. I went and watched Austin and Mike's first hole and a half, really. And as I'm walking out, I got to see, and I don't know his last name, but the kid from Drew, Elliott is his name. I don't know if you know him at all. Mm-hmm. And he had teed off on one as I'm walking back. And I've never seen anybody's drive as far as he was almost at the bunkers that are like way out there on the right at Hollywood. I was blown away by how far he hit that ball. It was incredible. And then since I hear that's what he's really good at, putting it out there 330 and really bombing it. So going back to the yin and the yang, I also like it seems like you guys also, again, you have a wide age gap there, but you guys also, just from the 10 minutes, 15 minutes we've been on here, seems like you guys have a good relationship as well. And Chester, you mentioned Erik getting you back into golf and kind of liking competitive golf again. Erik, maybe Chester is that kind of, Chester, no offense, but like that wise old owl that's kind of, for lack of a better term, but that's kind of giving you some sage advice. And I think everybody needs that. Everybody needs that friend or that mentor or that, whether it's life or work or relationships or whatever, that person that's going to be your, been through it and can give you some life advice. And Chester being a 15 years your senior can more. I'm going to stick with 15. Is 15 plus is something that maybe you can take and learn something from as well. And again, you learning to play the course or do something else. Maybe he's giving you some wisdom that the other hasn't. Can you guys speak to that as well, like the non-golf relationship there?
Absolutely. Everything you said is spot on. I mean, Chester has been, without a doubt, a mentor to me. He's, I mentioned it briefly in our little interview, but I'd say we talk about things not related to golf just as much, if not more, than we talk about golf-related things. And I'm very thankful for him and everything he's done for me. And it's definitely strengthened our relationship. And I'm really glad to have him among other people at Hamilton Farm as well that I can go to for advice. And I have 3 older brothers, so it's nice to have someone outside of my family as well. Not that I'm not thankful for them by any means, but it's just a different voice kind of.
Mhm.
And no, absolutely. I never take it for granted. I really appreciate how willing he is to talk to me. If I have, a phone call or a text or someone I need to call, he's first or second on that list without a doubt. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very thankful for everything Chester has done and will continue to do.
Yeah, I love that, because I'm a firm believer that everybody needs to have that kind of person in their life. Whether it's like, I still talk to my high school basketball coach. Him and I have a great relationship, and honestly, I consider him a second father, and that's kind of a feather in the cap to him. Like, you have that person who you can go to, and that sort of thing. And Chester,
Yep.
that's great that you can be that for Erik. How about going the other way? Is there anything that Erik's taught you, or something that brings out that in you to be that mentor to him?
Absolutely. I think, and I think all my friends can probably attest to this. I'm once you get to know me, most people will probably tell me to stop talking, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm not going to go up to you and introduce myself and try to be best friends. Like, I'm just going to let it happen. And it happened that way with Erik, and Erik's taught me a lot. I don't even think he realizes it, but just the way he carries himself on the golf course. And I used to be very temperamental on the golf course, and I would let my emotions get the best of me, because in hockey, you just go, hack somebody,
Go hit somebody,
whatever it was. And I need to learn how to kind of channel those emotions on the golf course. And I might have, from an external purpose or view, looked like I was in control, but internally, I'm MFing myself left and right. And Erik has shown me that you got to live between that 4 and 7 range, right? There's no point in getting super down on yourself or super excited about a golf shot. We're all going to hit good ones. We're all going to hit bad ones. And at the age that he was telling me all this stuff, it just kind of blew my mind, because you don't see that often. You don't see somebody that's that well based. At 20, I mean, I think I met Erik when he was 18, 19, 20 years old. And I think I thought he was 25, 26, because he was so well composed and carried himself in such a manner and spoke to adults. He looked them in the eye and shook their hand firmly. It was nice to see. And I think, he's taught me a lot of things throughout the year. And I think, one of the biggest is just doing the right thing and making sure you're a good person.
Yeah, I think that's golf, though. I mean, how many kids do we see that get brought up and they're, hey, we drop you off at the golf course, you're going to go play today, and you don't know who you're playing with. So you learn from a young age to do things like look people in the eyes, do things like shake someone's hand, a good handshake, and a lot of golf teaches young kids to do that. And I think that's always the case. You meet someone who's a golfer at 19 years old, and they compose themselves like they're mid 20s to late 20s, and it's definitely a golf, maybe not golf specific, but it's definitely a golfer's trait for sure. Last summer, Mike and I interviewed a lot of college golfers. Cole Eckert was one of them, and Colin Summers. And Mike and I both said the same thing. Like, that kid's 18, 19 years old, and we just interviewed an adult man. Like, it was just how he carried himself, how they talk, how they spoke. It was just very, very grown up, very more than their age. And Erik, again, limited time here, I can already see that as well. So I love that.
I know it's wild, because I think it's unexpected, and it's great. And I'm not the only one. There's the entire membership at Hamilton Farm feels the same way. Erik and I play a lot of golf with a group of guys that are older than us, and I tell you what, they make us laugh via the group text we're on, or while we're playing golf, is because they do the same thing that we do right now. They just make fun of themselves for 4 hours, and it's great.
Yeah,
and they're still best of friends, and they have lunch afterwards, and it's just a nice thing to, like, that's kind of what you want to do a little bit later in life, to still have those friendships, and golf is one of the few places that you can do that.
Yeah. You mentioned Hamilton Farms. I want to kind of come back to there because obviously we've had a few Hamilton Farms people on. We've had Nick Bova on, like I mentioned, Pat Wilson. How long have you guys been members together? I think you said you mentioned Erik met Erik when he was 18 or 19. So obviously it's been a few years now. How long has it been?
I think it's about 5 years. I actually worked there for a couple summers in college.
Okay.
And it was great. There were, heck, there were probably, and Eric's heard this a million times, but there couldn't have been more than, I think, 80 members at the time. And most of those members were not really around much. So, you got 20 people out there playing golf for that day. And that was jam packed. So we would have to find stuff to do. And to be able to spend your summers there and be able to play golf and learn and the professional staff that was up there that time, I think it was Mark Wood was the director of golf, but at the time he was teaching Bo Van Pelt amongst other, PGA players. So I got to learn a lot of the golf swing by watching Mark. And then Jeff Teal and Matt Freitag were two of the probably best bosses that I've had. Jeff has since gotten out of the business. I believe he works for Polo now, but Matt is he's down at RTJ down in Virginia, and that place is off the charts good.
Very nice.
I think they held the first 4 President's Cups. Like you walk into that clubhouse and it's like a cathedral, and it's wild. I had no idea it was the first 4 President's Cups. I mean, that's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that either. Interesting. All right. So, we got the background here. We've heard about you, how you guys met and all that kind of stuff. Let's get to the actual 4-ball. So you qualified Stanton Ridge with I'm still blown away by that. That's incredible. And now we're onto the course. What are your thoughts? Have you guys played Hollywood before? Is this your first time? Did you get a practice round there? What was it leading up to the stroke play on that first day?
Well, I'd played there a few times before. I'm trying to think. It was Tuesday, so I was away the week before for our final college tournament. So we could have made a practice round if we really tried. I wasn't really dying to because I'd seen it and I had a lot going on. So no practice round, but it wasn't like we totally had gone in blind. I think Chester plays in the Clambake there every year too. So we knew the place. We went in. Neither of us really got anything going. We didn't make many mistakes, but we also didn't have a lot of birdie looks. At least I didn't. I'm trying to think about it now. I know I was grinding a little bit, but really we knew we just had to get into match play. And then when you get into match play, anything can happen. And that's the beauty of the hard part was getting in. Not the hardest. We had some really tough matches, obviously, but I don't know. What do you think, Chester? I thought it was just kind of a slow round and just kind of chipped away at it and hung on and tried to survive to the next day.
Yeah, agreed. Same with Erik. I think I played in the State Open there, but it was like 15 years ago. It was before it was when Kevin Foley won by $1 billion. And then I played in the Clambake last year. But yeah, I think Erik and I, we got off to a pretty solid start. I think we made a birdie relatively early on. And then I definitely missed a couple putts I should have made to make our waiting time after the round a little bit less stressful. But you know what? Looking back on it, that's part of the fun part about it is, that waiting period. And then we got in and, going back to, I think the qualifying rounds, it's a boat race, so you gotta get through that first part. And then it's more or less fun once you get into the match play aspect of it.
For sure. Yeah. And then, so what was your number on that first day? I should have it in front of me. 3 under. So you're waiting to get in. You 3 under is again. You didn't make any mistakes, like you said, but nothing terribly exciting, so to speak.
Right.
Going into the next day, how'd you feel about your chances in match play? Was it one of those where like, hey, we couldn't play any worse, so let's?
We kind of did say that. Erik did hit a bunch of putts that lipped out on Tuesday, and I go, they're going to fall in. I was like, we couldn't putt any worse than we did yesterday. And then it turns out we're playing two of our buddies from Hamilton Farm in round one, Pat Wilson and Mark Kunich. And we had a great match. Erik, it was pretty even going. And I think they were 1 up after 6. And then Erik ripped off 3 birdies in a row. And then we kind of just held on from there for the most part. I think that match.
I was practically asleep for the first 5 holes. I think I picked up my ball 3 times in the first 5 and just kind of hopped on Chester's back there in the beginning, and then finally started to play a little bit, and we held on, and it was fun. We were playing 2 of our good friends, like Chester said, so it would have been nice if we could play them in the quarters or the semis, but it was a fun match, and we just kind of felt like just focus on this one and survive in advance, basically, because that all you can do is try to beat the guys you're playing,
Right.
And that's the beauty about match play is you hit 2 out of bounds, it's not going to ruin your whole day. You might lose the hole, but then you just go to the next one, which for me is good because sometimes I do that.
Yeah, match play is such a different animal than stroke play because you can be a little more aggressive or not have your stuff and just shake it off. It's like, all right, we lost that hole, we're down 1. Like, go to the next hole, you're tied. Okay, now we're down. And at some point you got to turn it on, but it is that uniqueness of like shake it off, like, basketball phrase, like shooters keep shooting, right? Steph Curry is going to continue to shoot threes. He can miss 10 in a row and he believes he's making the 11th. So the same kind of thing. It's like, all right, we lost that hole, we're going to win this next one, or we're going to get this next one. Was that your favorite round to play, was with Pat and Matt, because you guys know them so well, or do you have a favorite of somebody else that you had?
I mean, the finals were by far my favorite round.
Yeah.
The finals were.
It was good golf.
Go ahead.
It was good golf. The final match, it was good golf. Like I think everybody that we played, I don't think they had their best. We didn't have our best, but the conditions was it Wednesday afternoon with the wind. Wednesday afternoon was brutal with the wind, but I think one of the things that Erik and I do very well is, or at least did well this week or the past week, was we had 2 balls in play pretty much every hole. So there wasn't a ton of stress going on, and Hollywood's closing stretch there, 16, 17, 18 are not easy golf holes. So it was good that we had both balls in play there, because it definitely put a little bit more pressure on the other guys, because we were, I think, fortunate. I think we were 1 up almost every time going into 16, I think. So
and
it was close. Yeah.
And in the driver's seat, if you're 1 up going into those holes, it's like, okay, just don't make a mistake and force them to do something rather miraculous. Like if you got a birdie 17, that is not an easy task to do.
Right.
If you have to, 18 is a long par 4, a lot of trouble everywhere. Like you're forcing, if you're 1 up, putting the pressure on them, you're forcing the issue more or less. And hey, okay, well, now I got to go make a shot. Now you're adding more pressure to them on top of it being, in match play. And yeah, that's definitely something you would certainly look forward to doing. Is there a stretch of holes? We mentioned 16, 17, 18, but a stretch that over the whole week you guys liked the best, didn't like the best, or was just like this made or broke everybody's round here? What was like the amen corner, so to speak? I asked Brad this and I don't know if you listened to that interview, but before, and he gave us the that stretch of like 13, 14, 15, 12, 13, 14, that back stretch over there. Did you feel like was the amen corner there?
That's a good question.
I kind of think for us in particular, it was kind of the 8, 9, 10 stretch.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
For whatever reason, Erik hold a bunker shot on 8. I made a putt on 9, and Erik made birdie on 10. I think like we for whatever reason played those 3 holes well, and there were a couple tough pins on 10 that we handled pretty well, and 8 was just 8. 8 I've always had issues with, and there's nothing to it. It's a straightaway par 4. It's not long. But it's just it's an awkward hole for some reason, and we ended up playing that one pretty well all week, as well as 9 and 10. And 10 you got to take advantage of.
Yeah, and that was nice because it was right in the middle of the round. So in the final round, Mike and Pete were playing awesome through 7, and we were able to birdie 8, 9, and 10 and get it to all square. And, obviously 2 down to all square is a huge difference, but to be able to kind of not get too into the beginning of the round because there were still a lot of holes left. But then when we won 8, 9 and then have 10, there were 8 holes left and we were all square. And I don't know, I think just mentally for me, that was a nice change rather than thinking like, all right, we're 2 down with 7 or 8 to go. We got to really start forcing things. For me personally, the hole I played the worst all week was without a doubt 11. I hit it right under those trees literally every single round. I don't know what it was. It's a mental block at this point, but I could not hit that tee shot in the fairway. So every time we got to 11, it was pretty much Chester versus the other guys.
Yeah, and I did not hit a good one. I had left in the semis and finals that round. And I think, I don't know if we might have the morning round there, but we gave them one on 11 for sure. I mean, Pete was in there. Pete probably had 6 feet for birdie. He was in there.
Yeah.
And then 11, they kind of did a little, or no, 12, they kind of did a little bit of the same thing to us, but 12 is probably the hardest hole out there.
Yeah.
And Erik and I made good pars on 12. So I think that was good. And then ripping off the 13, 14 birdie, going into 15. I think, and I remember walking off 14. I go to Erik, are you having fun? And he goes, I am. And that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want to feel those nerves. You want to feel the anxiety, right? You want to feel how you're going to respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
And Erik hits this drive on 14. And he had a good, maybe slightly left, and he's in the cross bunkers between 14 and 16. And he hits this ridiculous bunker shot to, 12 feet below the hole, and then makes the birdie putt. It was fun to watch.
Golf's a little sadistic in that way, that like we need hey, you having fun, really feeling nervous and pressure ridden, and exactly. The anxiety is above. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love this. That's
exactly.
Even I'm friend. He's a friend of mine now. Erik's high school buddy Mike, who was our caddy. He had to start walking off the greens because he was wearing a whoop and it kept on spiking, and his stress level was too high. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's a huge swing there. And kind of like, again, I'm a big basketball guy. I coming out at halftime, if you can punch your opponent in the mouth the first 4 minutes coming out of halftime, that's a big momentum for the second half. So you guys doing that at 8, 9, and 10 to go from down to bringing it back to even. Not only does it bring it back to even and mathematically now you're even with 8 holes to play, but you have a huge momentum swing coming your way. So Erik, feeling good is an understatement, I'm sure, to what you felt, just because that wave of momentum was just, they were up to cruising, up 2 through 7 is more than a little bit. And then to be back, like their momentum has shrunk, yours has gone out of the roof. I would imagine that's again, to your point, the amen corner. That's the turn of the round.
And I mean, I want to say they were 5 or 6 under through 7. Pete hit they made 5 drivable. They moved it up a tee box, and Pete hit a driver to like this. I mean, he had 2 feet for eagle, and we gave it to him. And then he made probably a 35-footer up the hill on 7 for birdie, right in the heart. And I don't know how Chester was feeling, but I was kind of like, man, I mean, if they play like this, there's nothing you can do. You just tip your cap.
Exactly.
I mean, if they were playing lights out, and it was nice for us to get one back, kind of steal one on 8, and then Chester made a long one on 9, and that definitely switched the momentum a little bit. But it kind of gave us a pulse as well, because through the first 7 holes, we weren't playing bad golf at all. They were just beating us.
And like you said, you just got to tip your cap to them. If you're playing okay, right, or even if you're playing the best you can play and they're still beating you, they're just playing better. So at some point you're just like, hey, good job, good on you guys.
I think we were I think 3 or 4 under through 6 or 7. I mean, it wasn't like we were playing.
Right, that's no slouch there.
It was just they were hitting it great.
Oh, good. So we got the amen corner out there. Was there a pin tee combo in any of the days that you were like, that was ludicrous, or even just a pin placement on any of the holes that you were like, that was the toughest pin location that I've ever seen on a course?
Wednesday afternoon on 17. Wind was like 35 off the
Oh
left,
yeah,
and the pin was
yeah.
back right.
Pit
Three of us hit it on the other side of the
of that mound, the
little
ridge. Yeah.
the little mound.
I was in the
it
tunnel.
was-
I
it
was
was
literally
ridiculous.
in the tunnel.
Yeah, Erik was in Erik was on the path, right? Or was that a
Yeah,
different match?
in the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
That was the match, I think.
Yeah, it was nuts. But I would say that one, we actually 17 was great for us most of the week.
Okay.
Chester you played it at like 2 under. I mean,
It was good. 17 was it was a pivotal hole.
Yeah, it for sure it is. Especially if you're getting that far in match play, it's got to be a close match. So if you can play one of those late holes well, then you're, inevitably the tide's going to go in your favor, and that's, if you're playing that hole 2 under is pretty good. So it was back right, and the wind was coming right to left.
Left to right. It was going towards the right. And it had to be going 30, right?
Yeah.
30, 35.
and it was like 243
Yeah,
from all the way back there.
It was nuts.
That is, that hole's diabolical when there's no wind and you're playing just the back tees regular, and it's playing 220.
Right.
Yeah.
I love what they've done with that hole. I don't know how you looked into the history of it, or even if you remember playing it from before, but I love that they've in the last bunch of years, they've kind of gone to this, like looking at old aerial photos and trying to get all the stuff. Think about putting on that green. Now they're rolling at like a 12 or 13, right? 12, 13, 14, they were probably running for you. Imagine putting to the other side of that mound when they were rolling at like an 8.
It's doable.
Yeah.
Right. It makes it doable. Now you can't, if that flag is close to the mound and you have to go over the mound, you're 3-putting because you're not getting within 15 feet of it. So that's
Not if you're Erik
Yep.
Stevens. Don't make it.
Yeah.
well, that's good to see, fellas. I could pepper you guys with questions all day about this and get integral with the round or anything like that. But the last, we kind of end all of our interviews with the last, grouping of questions here that I want to kind of get into now. And Mike usually asks this, and unfortunately he's not able to be on this, but if you could pick a place in New Jersey that is a drop everything and go play, and you can't say Hamilton Farm because that's your home course. You can't say Pine Valley because, well, that's not open to everybody. But you get the invitation, you have to go. Where is that place for you guys?
I got mine right away. Bayonne,
Yeah.
no question.
Yours is Bayonne, huh?
That's Mike's too.
Bayonne, I think is the most unique. It's my personal favorite. Every single time I've played there, 5 or 6 times. Every time I play there, it plays different.
Interesting.
And I think there's something about there's no trees on the property. It doesn't even feel like you're in New Jersey, other than the fact that the city's right there. But that's mine. That's one I personally can't turn down.
All right, Chester, it's a
tough.
good one.
It's a great one. I love Ridgewood. I love the champ layout they've got up there. I think the fact that that's not in the top 100 is ludicrous, quite frankly. Because I think the history there alone is beautiful. I would say probably the upper at Baltusrol would be my go-to. I love that track. I think, and I'm so excited to see the changes that they're going to do there. I just think that golf course, you've got to control your golf ball so well to play there and play well there. Yeah. And I think, the lower gets all the credit. And, I personally, I'd love to see a Ryder Cup or some sort of match play event on the upper, just because those first 6 greens, anybody could miss a putt there inside a couple of feet, and you just got to think your way around the golf course. And I think with how good those guys are, I think that'd be my spot.
It's funny that I've played Baltusrol upper, never played the lower, and I've only played the front 9 there 2 or 3 times. So it's funny you say that, because Yeah, I've missed a bunch of 2-footers on those first 6 holes there because they're diabolical. Yeah. They're very integral. You can't see some of the break. It's all, when you get the knowledge that it all goes towards the mountains, then you can, kind of, okay, I'm going to play it a little right. And you're like, wow, I didn't see that breaking nearly a cup left from within 2 feet. So yeah, that's a great one. That's one we don't get very often.
I try to go outside the box.
No, I love that.
I mean, there's so many good golf courses,
and we say that all the time. There's just like, you could very easily go with like Baltusrol lower, right? That's obviously one. Ridgewood, another one. Like how that's not in the top 100 is mind blowing to me. But to go with, I love that you went with the upper course at Balti because it's a little known gem, it's like obviously Baltusrol everybody knows, but like I know when they hosted I think it was the PGA a number of years ago, I parked on one of the fairways on the upper because that's where they were. So like I just it's almost like the forgotten, like the redheaded stepchild of Baltusrol, but it is excellent. It really, really is.
It's phenomenal. And honestly, like the hole that I'm really excited to see is the third. I think it's the third hole, that par 3.
When you're up on the green.
The green, they only had, there were 2 places you could put the pin, back left or front left, right? So and that green's huge. It could be a great hole.
It's excellent. And the view that you get of the city is,
right. You walk up to that 5th tee box after walking off after 4, and you can see
everything.
Basically downtown Manhattan. It's beautiful.
Which is such a unique view because you're kind of in the mountains. There's a lot of trees there, and then all of a sudden you're getting that that Bayonne or that Liberty National view, and it's obviously not as close, but you're still getting it. It's like it kind of checks you as like, oh yeah, I am near the city.
Right, just a lot more quiet.
Golfers are kind of quirky by nature. I think we all have our quirks or habits or whatever you want to call them. When you're getting ready to play competition golf, what are some things that you do that like you need to have your chi centered? Is there a certain amount of tees you have to have, or how you mark your ball, or like what are some again quirks or we'll call them habits for a little later that you do before you tee it up?
I keep 2 dimes in my right pocket. I use a dime as a ball marker because that's my old man uses his ball marker. And I started keeping 2 because a lot of the knuckleheads that I play golf with don't carry a ball marker. So I have to give them one. So now it's just
including yourself. Including
myself. There are several rounds if I forget to do it, we're talking hole 14, 15 before I'm actually digging into the bag to pull out a ball marker. It's bad.
Okay.
It's bad.
Not really. I'm pretty easygoing. Although I will say in this,
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna ask you. We should have had the partner ask this question
on Wednesday.
So, like, how well you know your spouse? Yeah.
It got to like 85 degrees, and I wore pants in the morning because when we teed off, it was a little cool. And by the time we were in the afternoon match, it was not pants weather. But Chester was like, "Are you going to change?" And I said, "Well, no, because we won." So that, I guess, is my superstition. Because we won, I didn't change, and then I actually wore pants on Thursday, even though I definitely didn't need to. So maybe they worked, but I don't know. I'm definitely not a big pants guy. I like to wear shorts, but that was kind of the exception.
That's more than a little stitious. That's superstitious,
right?
For sure.
That was a hand up. That was hand up.
Yeah, no, 100%. But for every other,
I have some weird ones from hockey that I still do. I still have to put my right sock and shoe on first and stuff like that.
Wait, you go right sock, right shoe, then
I got to put everything on the right. I got to put everything on the right. I have to put my right sock on before my left. Right shoe on before my left.
Oh, okay. I thought you went right sock, right shoe. So you have a shoe and a bare foot.
No.
And I was about to call some kind of institution because that is yeah, exactly. So that needs to be.
Doorknob on the outside.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. Those are some good ones. Chester, do the dimes need to be certain years or anything like that? Or
no, just the dime. There's 2 dimes now, but nothing other than that. It doesn't have to be heads up or tails up. Doesn't make
Okay.
sense.
And our last question. We're a New Jersey golf podcast. This is a dying question in the state of New Jersey. There's a particular kind of breakfast meat that our state debates the name. What's the name of that breakfast meat?
It's got to be
Pork roll.
Pork roll. Both of you?
Right? Pork roll, right?
Yes, let's go. I don't know where
Yeah,
either of you guys live, but I know where Hamilton is, and I think that's right on the border of Taylor ham pork roll country. So
it is, but it's definitely pork. It's funny because sometimes I order a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese, and I know that's not what it is.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, but a
like
lot of
pork roll
people, are accustomed to hearing that. So when you say pork roll, sometimes you get the second
wrong.
look.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad we got two pork roll guys, fellas. We are, again, I'm going to speak for Mike. I know he's not here, but I love that you guys were able to take down such a loaded field and kind of springboard yourselves. Chester, was glad to see you got back into golf, and Erik, again, I making your name for yourself coming out of college here. I think this is I think we're going to see a lot more of you guys in the future, whether it's together or separate. And I'm really looking forward to that. And this has been an absolute pleasure having you guys on. So I really, really appreciate you giving us some time, and I'm wishing you all the best moving forward in your golfing journeys here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I can appreciate it. You guys are the best. I appreciate what you guys are doing. The game of golf has obviously gotten incredibly popular, and I think it's a phenomenal sport, game, however you want to call it, for people to pick up. You learn a lot about somebody in 4 hours, and you learn a lot of life lessons. So I think, thank you for doing what you do. And
Absolutely, it was my pleasure. All right, fellas. Till next time. Cheers.